Hi everybody and welcome to this episode of the Cast Channel. So on May 20th, 2026, a Repose for the Fallen ceremony occurred in Lake George, New York. I was able to go up to the Warren County Municipal Center and watch the procession go from Albany, New York to Lake George. I watched it as it passed the Municipal Center. I was able to park there. So here's a little seating area that they have there. There are flags here to commemorate veterans from various wars. I was following the procession online on the various webcams that are along Route 9 so I could time it so I could be here on time. First you have some state police vehicles go by. The sign there is for the Great Escape Lodge as you go in there. So how this all started was that back in 2019, ground was broken to build an apartment complex on Cortlandt Street in Lake George. And what often happens in the Lake George area is that some bones were found. I say often because this is a very historic area. French and Indian War was fought here, and the American Revolutionary War was fought in this area. Ticonderoga, Crown Point, Lake Champlain. This whole area was basically a battlefield between the French, the Indians, the British, and the colonials once the Revolution came around. So getting back to the procession here, I'll get back to the remains in just a moment. First you had the state police vehicles, and then you have some motorcyclists from various police stations, police officers going by. And they had some historical vehicles go by from I think it was from the Korean era and the Vietnam era. And I also saw that there were some Humvees. I'll let you watch the procession here, and I'll get back to the remains in just a moment. So that weekend was Memorial Day weekend. On Memorial Day itself, after my son marched in his school band in the morning, we went to Lake George where they built this very nice memorial park for the soldiers that died of smallpox here. It's in Battlefield Park in Lake George. It looks over the very beautiful Lake George itself. As you can see here, just beyond the trees there is Lake George. I'll zoom in on it in just a moment here. Getting back to the remains, they found a bunch of bones and they were sent down to the New York State Museum in Albany, where tons of dirt was sifted through, and they found what they believe are 44 remains of various people. Mostly they were people in their teens and 20s who were Revolutionary era soldiers. There was a smallpox outbreak in Crown Point and in Ticonderoga, and the infected were sent down to a makeshift hospital, which was basically just an open barn back then. About 3,000 people were sent down, and they were dying by the dozens a day, and they were just put in mass graves, unmarked mass graves. And these were found, they were identified for the most part as far as gender and age. 44 soldiers were found. So 44 soldiers were identified. 40 of them were reposed here, were interred here at this memorial here in Lake George and Battlefield Park on Wednesday the 20th, right after the procession. And 4 others were held for 2 days. They were put into a church and were rested there until they came to the memorial. On the 22nd, those were interred in another ceremony. So they were each in these small pine boxes. They were laid to rest in these large, what are called columbarium. When we were there were still white flowers on top that were laid there. So I'll just give you a couple minutes and just to look at this. So right there, I zoomed in. You can see Lake George, and off to the left here, you can see Fort William Henry. That's about it. Thank you for coming to this episode of the Kaz channel. If you can visit Lake George and see this memorial, it's a very nice and peaceful place to visit. Thank you. Bye.